Hello, dear students. Good evening, everybody. Aytaç hocam, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, Jayla, I can hear you.
Thank you very much, Aytaç hocam, for your participation. It will be a pleasure for me, for all of our students, to be with you today. And today we will talk about encouraging digital entrepreneurship and economic reflection of transformation, which is a really attractive and interesting area. So we can start in a few minutes later if it is suitable for you, because there are some students who are attending the course now.
Of course.
Okay.
We can wait for the rest of the students.
Okay. Aytaç hocam, today is our 6th day in these trainings.
It's happy to be the 6th professor to be teaching.
Yes, yeah. So we are really lucky to be with you and the previous lecturers and the next lecturers. And the end of our trainings will be will be organized by our rector. So we are really happy and exhausted.
Okay. It's nice to hear.
Yeah.
So how many students we have so far?
Actually, 61 students has enrolled the course, but as far as I know, the participants are generally about 20, 25, or at least 30. But the number is decreasing day by day. I recognize it.
Maybe
I think they are exhausted too.
They are finding something more interesting to deal with.
Maybe.
So I just started the recording. Is that okay? Or you should be starting one? I wasn't sure, I just started.
No, that's okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I will also make the students as moderators so they can ask their questions directly to you at the end of your presentation.
Okay.
Aytaç hocam, if you are ready, we can start if it's suitable for you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, welcome all. My name is Aytaç Kişman. I am an associate professor from Fırat University, Turkey. I am head of foreign trade department at my university. I am also a professor of international relations as well. So today we are going to learn something together about encouraging digital entrepreneurship and the economic reflection of transformation, which is a quite important topic indeed regarding the digital age, digital era in which we are living now. So let's start with, this is my contact information. If you have any questions, further questions, you can contact me via this email address. Okay. So that will be the outline of our course or presentation, whatever you want to say. First of all, I'm going to tell some basics about the roots of entrepreneurship. Then we will see how evaluated the entrepreneurship, the evolution period or the evolution steps. Then we will learn some models and practices. And at the end of the presentation, I will leave you some time and I will ask you to develop an idea challenge for students, I mean for yourself. So, what is entrepreneurship? Actually, in time, the definition of entrepreneurship has evolved and changed. But as a general or the most general definition, we can say the entrepreneurship is the process of creating economic, social, or cultural value by implementing an idea or project. So there are some themes in these sentences we have to focus on. First of all, creating economic, social, or cultural. So entrepreneurship doesn't necessarily have to be an economic connotation, or it can include social or cultural elements as well. But mostly what is understood by entrepreneurship is economic one. I'm going to focus on the economic aspects, but as the part of this world, part of this planet, also we have to consider some social and cultural entrepreneurship opportunities as well. After the end of the presentation, I will give you a mindset of an entrepreneur. So depending on that mindset, maybe you can develop your own ideas, your own projects, which will become counted as an entrepreneurship in terms of economic, social, or cultural values. So who is entrepreneur? Entrepreneur is, depending on the first definition, is who implements an idea or project, takes risks. This is an important step, and we will focus on this later, and produces innovative solutions in this process. So this is who is entrepreneur. And when it comes to digital entrepreneurship, which is main topic of the course today, is digital entrepreneurship is leveraging the internet and digital technologies to create and run a business or project. So, including the other two definitions, by digital entrepreneurship definition, we are adding the internet and digital technologies as leverages for our projects, for our project ideas, and in order to produce economic, social, or cultural values. So these are the stages of entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship can be counted as something very old from one aspect. From one aspect, we can consider it as a very modern thing. But in between this being very traditional and very old and being very modern, there are different steps. First of all, the early period of entrepreneurship can be counted as the master-apprentice relationship, craftsmanship relationship. So when people start to produce something, that was the first entrepreneurship activities of the early human beings. Even producing a tool for agriculture or tool for hunting, that is a sort of entrepreneurship, but this is a very basic level entrepreneurship. We understand more importantly the entrepreneurship issue after the Industrial Revolution, which occurred at the end of the 18th century. And with this understanding, we heard the word entrepreneur for the first time. How? Adam Smith, as an economist, developed the production factors theory, but he included only 3 production factors in his theory. First one, labor force, capital, and the raw materials. These are Adam Smith's necessities in order to produce something. But after him, in the beginning of the 19th century, in 1803, John Baptist Say added entrepreneur as a factor for production. So in order to produce something, you need labor, you need capital, you need raw materials, and you need an entrepreneur. He is going to bring them all together and prepare something or produce something. So after the Industrial Revolution, mass production and capitalism emerged and developed all over the world. But when we came to the 20th century, by the mass production activities after Industrial Revolution, large corporations, large corporations and institutionalization. Large corporation emerged. After 21st century, digitalization and startup culture consisted or created the most modern definition of entrepreneurship. If we compare classic entrepreneurship and modern entrepreneurship at a glance, we will see that in classic entrepreneurship, there are physical stores, but in modern entrepreneurship, which we are talking now, digital platforms. For classic entrepreneurship, you need large capital, but for the modern one, you don't need large capitals. Small capitals can be effective in producing a value. So in classic terms, slow growth is acceptable, but for modern terms, this is not acceptable. You should be fast and you should be forming your institution as a fast scaling one. And in terms of financing, classic financing methods used in classic entrepreneurship, whereas in modern entrepreneurship, we use venture capital, which means taking some partners or having some others who can invest in our idea or project. So when we come to the digital revolution and new entrepreneurial paradigm, this is where digital technologies are not just tools, but the foundation of business creation. In 20th century entrepreneurship, digital items or digital means were used just as tools. But in 21st century, the digital age entrepreneurship, the foundation of business creation made up on that digital items, like internet, like AI, like World Wide Web. And that led a transformation and a global value generation. This is very crucial, that new entrepreneurial paradigm is very crucial because entrepreneurship drives innovation, job creation, and productivity growth, and which can lead a broader economic transformation. The digital revolution has defined how value is created, delivered, and captured, enabling scale without mass. That means you can contribute less in terms of physical infrastructure, but you can make more of that small contribution to physical infrastructure, which is called as scale without mass, where firms reach global markets with minimum physical infrastructure. So, as entrepreneurship in general has an evolving route, also digital era of entrepreneurship has evolving steps. The first step for digital era was the internet and dot-com era. That is between 1990s and the beginning of the 21st century. This is called also the seed era. In that seed era, the key technologies were World Wide Web, that means the internet, very early e-commerce, like Amazon, which is very established in 1994, and it's a very early example of e-commerce websites. And dial-up connectivity, that means very slow internet access. Compared to today's internet opportunities, which is 5G, the dial-up modems or dial-up connectivity was very, very primitive way of accessing to internet. So what we learned from that? We learned that an innovation must align with a viable business models. That means if you have an idea which is very good on the paper, but you don't have a business plan for that idea, that is not a good example of entrepreneurship. Because unless you produce your economic value or social or cultural value on the other page, this is not enough. You have to have a business plan. For example, I can give a very good example for this, the Google website. When the Google website first established, the business plan was not completed yet. But after the Google Ads idea came to the minds of the founders, they started to make a lot of money. But in the first place, Google was a very big company, but the business plan was not evolved yet. But the Google Ads is the most important business plan for Google company. That means the companies pay money for the ads, but that money is not going down unless someone clicked on that ad. So this is a very genius idea developed by the founders of the Google. So the second step for the digital entrepreneurship or digital era evolution, which is Web 2.0, cloud, and mobile era. That era is being taught between 2005 and 2015. Also, it's called as startup era. In that era, the key technologies were cloud computing, broadband, that means one step more compared to dial-up connectivity, smartphones, which became very prevalent, and billions of cell phones had been sold in that era, and also the beginning of social media, especially with the Facebook, just after Facebook, or a long time with say Facebook, YouTube, and then the other social media platforms came. So what was the business models for this era? The most important business model for this era was SaaS. That means software as a service, which was used in the platforms you access. You use that software in that platform. The best example for this is the online movie streaming platforms like Netflix or Amazon or Max. You use their software on their platform, which enabled such companies to control all the software, because you don't download and install a program, install a software onto your computer. You just use that software up on the company's website or company's their own app. So this was a very, very good business model. And also the sharing economy models like Uber, Airbnb, Salesforce. I guess I don't need to explain what is Uber, what's Airbnb, or what's Salesforce, but we know that they are sharing economy. So people started to make money, lots of money, from that sharing economy opportunities like Uber, like Airbnb. And the economic reflection of this era was the lowered entry barriers and cloud and app ecosystem, because the app notion was entered to the digital era within this period. So also this led to small startups to scale rapidly and globally because of the broad internet, and also because of the SaaS, software as a service. So the last era is the era after 2010 to the present. This is the intelligent and distributed era. In that era, the key technologies are AI, machine learning, Internet of the Things, blockchain, 5G. If you follow that route or you follow that steps, you understand more how digital age evolved. And what are the business models for this era? Were data-driven services, hyper-automation, and tokenized platforms. That means platforms enable you to pay in many other ways. So different payment methods developed, which is sometimes seen as a challenge from political perspective, but sometimes seen as a very good opportunity from a very liberal perspective. So countries are trying to make a balance between these two controversial or how to say that controversial items or controversial ideas. So what are the economic reflections of that transformation? First of all, the digital age, the digital entrepreneurship age, disrupted industrial structures, which is a good disruption, by the way, which is Schumpeter's creative destruction. This is a term used for building, tearing down something to build up something better. So that value shifts from tangible assets to data, because data is itself valuable. But before, you need to have something in hand, something tangible to talk about a value or a worth of something. User networks and algorithms. That changed. This is a disruptive change, but it's a good rebuilding up process. And that led productivity and GDP growth. Digital firms, digital companies scale, they became bigger at near zero marginal cost, but improving their productivity across sectors. And also, they are adopting digital tools to gain efficiency and access to global markets. So many studies show that digitalization strongly mediates the economic growth. Another economic reflection of digital entrepreneurship era is employment and skill transformation. That created new jobs while automating others. In the past, some jobs were done by human beings, but now they are automated. But new job areas have been created because of that digital age. And that, of course, led a rising demand for digital competences. That means more education, more concentration for digital intellectual. And also that created new business models, which is another economic reflection, like platform economies, as I described earlier, software as a service, the gig economy, that means the short-term jobs or freelance jobs. People started to work as freelancer, or they started to work in short-term jobs because there are many job opportunities all around the world. You can access all of them through internet. So that's a gig economy. That's called as gig economy, which reshaped industries and employment. So another aspect of economic reflection is that allows entrepreneurs in emerging regions to reach global markets through digital divides persist. For example, so this is the very common example, but software engineers from India are working from their home in India, but they are making many things in US or many things in Europe. So this led an inclusion of the whole world citizens into that digital era. We can make a quick comparison between the before digital transformation, which called as traditional era, and after digital transformation, which is called as digital era. So from perspective of productivity and efficiency increased, higher productivity rates achieved, especially the firms using digital tools like ERP, like CRM, customer relation management, like SCM, that companies had more advantages. The e-commerce volume increased and boosted. You remember the second step, which was in the early steps of digital era, that led some e-commerce activities, but not to the extent which can be compared with today's e-commerce volume. So there had been a rapid e-commerce volume, which is now driven by AI and also diverse payment systems. Like I told, you can pay anything by coins. So this is a very interesting era. And touchless shopping, which we are doing in most of our lives, I guess. So compared to employment in tech, before, low percentage of employment were dedicated for the digital jobs, but now people mostly necessitate, or the jobs mostly necessitate high concentration of IT or digital skills. So the broadband became 5G. It's more, we have more faster or very fast internet nowadays, and also innovation and R&D activities are now AI supported and also supported by cloud technologies, leading to new business models. We have some numbers about global digital economy, which is the digital entrepreneurs should be aiming to get some share from that trillions of dollars or billions of dollars. So in general, the global digital economy is $16.5 trillion projected by 2028. And expected share of global GDP would be 17%, again projected by 2028. And digital transformation market size is $1.63 trillion 2023, but it is expected to become around $10 trillion or $11 trillion by 2032. So there are lots of numbers here. I don't want to bore you with that numbers, but we can say that the current volume of digital economy is something. And in 3 years, it's expected to be 17% of global GDP, which is a huge, which would be a huge economic volume, huge economic value. So there are some current application and global examples in that digital age, which are also very good examples for digital entrepreneurship, is like Shopify, Etsy, which empower SMEs. In financial terms, Stripe, Square, which provides financial inclusion. In healthcare, AI startups, which are cost efficient and accessible. In manufacturing, predictive SaaS that boost productivity. In terms of creative work, Patreon, Substack, these are decentralized incomes, allows or enables software developers, designers to make income from several platforms and from their home. Also, AI and data, the OpenAI is an automation leap which enables many platforms to become more digitalized. So, in order to encourage digital entrepreneurship, in my opinion, we need 4 pillars, core pillars. 1, digital infrastructure. 20 years ago, we didn't know that internet will be that fast, but now it is very fast. And we cannot know after 10 years what will be the internet speed. But we can say that the current digital infrastructure is very convenient to create any app, to create any new idea digitally available or digitally possible online. Another pillar is digital skill and education, because digital skills is now prerequisite for many jobs. because as I described before, the job description changed. The traditional jobs, some of the traditional jobs are being done by automation systems, but now companies, especially high-tech companies, need people who are equipped with digital skills and also with good education in terms of digital hardware or software. Access to finance is, of course, one of the most important aspects. But again, in this age, you can find venture capital for your projects, for your ideas. Another necessary pillar is regulatory agility. We need a regulatory system. For example, European Union is regulating the rules about entrepreneurship or helping people out to create their own projects or be more creative in terms of ideas. Also, there is a very good and very consistent entrepreneurship environment in US, digital environment in US, which is called as Silicon Valley. So regulatory agility is important because people, in economic terms, wants to be sure about their outcomes of their investments or outcomes of their efforts. There are, yes, we need some pillars, and also there are practical challenges. So new entrepreneurs or students, you guys, should prepare to test a prototype if you have an idea. You should most viable piece, I guess, I forgot the extension. So you need to test the prototype. You need to observe the market and the competition because navigating winner take all markets is very important. In digital era, the first comes sometimes takes all. So this is an important challenge. The funding, again, mastering unit economics and trying to find alternative funding. Regulations, as you mentioned, regulatory agility is important. And also ethical principles should be set in that digital age, which is also in discussion in many platforms. Platform mapping is important. You need to analyze the ecosystem. You want to produce your productivity. You want to create your business idea. And also you need to find strategically diversifying channels for your project or for your entrepreneurial activity. And it is a must, cybersecurity, especially being very cautious about the digital frauding and also keep the precious data safe by cybersecurity tools. So what should we do in order to be successful in that digital economy? First, if you have an idea, validate problems with real users. That means your idea should solve somebody's problem. So this is the beginning of the entrepreneurship. And you should track key metrics early. What will be the outcome? What will be the costs? These are very important. And you should build scalable architectures. That means times of necessity. In time of necessity, you should be able to improve or upscale your company, your startup, whatever. So you should seek mentors and networks. Also, you should underline privacy and cybersecurity. And again and again, you should engage in continuous learning and ethical innovation. So let's read some notes to self after this, all the topics mentioned in this presentation, and make some conclusions. First, entrepreneurship and technology go hand in hand. For example, maybe 1,000 years ago, preparing or making a new weapon was entrepreneurial thing. Or thousands of years ago, invention of the wheel was a very big technological entrepreneurship. So now we should know that in this digital era, entrepreneurship and technology are hand in hand. You cannot separate them from each other. And again, digital entrepreneurship is equal to fusion of technology, policy, and innovation, which reshapes industries and drives inclusive economic growth. And we should keep in mind that, and which is, this presentation is, for example, is a infrastructure for such activities. We need an entrepreneurship ecosystem. It's a must. Otherwise, your ideas, your projects will not have the sufficient outcomes. And always keep in mind that you are potential entrepreneurs and social entrepreneurs. Again, entrepreneurship is mostly connotated with economic terms, but there are also social and cultural entrepreneurship, which again would contribute to world culture, European culture, or your own country's culture. This is very important. And considering the people in need, also this is a social entrepreneurship, which also can be supported with digital tools or digital in the digital era. So, and don't forget, success requires adaptability, ethical design, and continuous learning. So, this is, I prepared for you, entrepreneurial mindset. You need to have that mindset to become an entrepreneur. You need to have these elements in your mind, and you should be self-prepared to become an entrepreneur. First, you should nurture, develop your talents and interests. For example, if you have an interest on something, you should nurture it. For example, if you like to make coding, you should nurture it and you should develop that talent and nourish that interest. This is very important. And this is the beginning of entrepreneurship, because you are going to make an entrepreneurial activity on the area which you have interest in. So this is very important. And this is the first step in your mind. Secondly, you should embrace the innovation, the new digital techniques, the new digital models, the new softwares, etc. You should embrace them. And you should make a list of problems, and you should prioritize one by one. So if you have a problem to solve, and if your idea is helping to solve that problem, you are on the right path. For entrepreneurial activities, you should narrow goal focus. You cannot do everything in one platform. For example, there is X, which was Twitter before, Facebook, Instagram. You can post photos and videos on Facebook. Also, you can write something on Facebook, but after Facebook, X has been developed, Instagram has been developed. That means because they are narrowing down their focus, their goal focus. You cannot do anything platform, everything in one platform. So you should narrow down your goal focus. And you should identify and evaluate your opportunities on the market, which can benefit to you, or which you can, quote unquote, exploit in terms of economical exploitation, make money, make economic value from that opportunities. And you should also start to think about the marketing and financial management. They are also in hand. You should know your resources very well. What resources you have, that resources can be your personal resources or accessible resources. Also, as a very key word, sustainability. Your ideas, your projects has to be sustainable ones. Otherwise, in that fast-growing, fast-changing digital era, your project or your ideas may not sustain for a very long period of time. And also always consider social entrepreneurship as another way of thinking, because again, you need to support the society, you need to support the world culture, European culture, and your own country's culture. So let's see the Entrepreneurship Hall of Fame. Which were the best entrepreneurship activities so far? Of course, there are many of them, but these are the very classical ones. The Apple, of course, which was founded in 1976. And now it's a huge company, huge technology attempts. And maybe it is on the leading role for the mobile technologies. Also, Tesla, SpaceX, PayPal, which is all three was founded by the contribution of Elon Musk, and Amazon by Jeff Bezos in 1994, which is again an early example of e-commerce trading. Oh, you can see all this: Google, Alibaba, AliExpress, Airbnb, Uber, Khan Academy. Also, the educational entrepreneurship activities are very important, because you can learn something from that platforms. Also, you can make money from that platforms, like Khan Academy or Udemy. WhatsApp, of course. WhatsApp was a very genius idea, because people at my age most probably remember MSN chatting. It was a very good idea to put MSN-like software on the phones, and which makes you online every time. This is a genius idea. Also, Dropbox, which is an alternated by Google Drive, as also is another thing, is another very sensational development, for example, for me, because I can access my files from everywhere, which is a very luxury thing. I don't have to be at home, I don't have to be at office to access my files. This is very important. And Netflix, that movie streaming platforms, again, should be underlined, because especially during the pandemic, the importance of the film industry and importance of that platforms, I guess, understood better. So far I tried to explain in that short period of time the evolution of entrepreneurship itself and the evolution of digital era entrepreneurship. And I try to make your mindset about entrepreneurial activities. Now, I'm going to receive your questions, but while receiving your questions, I want you to think on and figure out a student's campus need, which can be needed at any campus. And I want you to find a digital solution to that campus need, but including a business plan. Because again, yes, we have social and cultural entrepreneurship, but the most importantly, the entrepreneurship is related to economic terms. So think about that. And who wants to tell us about this, his idea or her idea? You are very welcome. Think about a student's campus need, find a solution, include a business plan. Okay, now I can receive your questions. And thank you for your attention. And again, these are my contact information. You can access me at any time by my email. So, any questions? There is a message here. I couldn't pay attention while I was lecturing. Yes, it's very difficult to keep track of change. It's very fast. For example, sometimes we are developing some project ideas with our software engineering department, and they say in the beginning of a master thesis, for example, they have a very good idea, but 1 year later that idea became old. So the era is changing very fast, and sometimes we cannot follow it, and sometimes we cannot understand what's going on behind in technological terms. So this is very normal. That's why I underlined about equipping yourself with digital skills and always nurture your interest, your education. So, any questions, or are you with me all there?
Dear students, you can use your microphone. You know how to use it, I think. Aytaç hocam, by the way, thank you very much for this information. Because everybody is an entrepreneur. Like, for example, in everyday life, we generally produce new ideas, we generally produce new concepts, but entrepreneurship means turning these ideas, these concepts into maybe into a practical way, right?
And with some outcomes, of course. If we are expecting economic outcomes, we should aim economic outcomes. If we are expecting social or cultural outcomes, we should be able to access that outcomes. Otherwise, our ideas or projects will be just ideas and projects. That's why I emphasize that we should add a business plan in that projects, in that ideas. Okay, we have a good plan, but can we make money from that if we are thinking in economic terms? Or can we make some cultural or social outcomes from that? This is also a business plan, but social business plan or cultural business plan.
Yes, dear students, do you have any ideas? For example, maybe can we produce a new project, a new business plan together in the near future? Paul, no questions. Just wanted to say this was a nice lecture and felt refreshing. Thank you very much, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. Actually, I'm not sure if I searched some refreshments, but I'm happy that mine refreshed at least after the presentation. Thank you very much, and thank you for your attention.
And Vedat said, I learned a lot today. Thank you. Thank you, Vedat.
You're welcome.
Ilda, at what stage should we start looking for investors, and how do we know our idea is ready to pitch?
So, this is, of course, a question which is strongly connected with your project idea. Because if your project idea necessitates lots of investment, you should be searching for economic contributors from the beginning. But if your idea is a much more affordable one, then maybe in the later stages you can be looking for some investors. But again, I also turned the presentation to, I reshowed the entrepreneurial mindset. After you manage all the risk and after you evaluate all the opportunities, you have to start with looking for, you have to start thinking about marketing and financial management. When you start to think about marketing and financial management, your need or your requirement for extra funds would reveal itself. So, in my opinion, I would be looking for investors after the risk analyzing and financial planning stage. I will be looking for investors if this is an answer for your question, Ilda.
Erisilda, you can use your microphone.
Yeah, please.
Yes, hello, Professor. How are you? I
Thank
have a
you.
simple question, and
Okay.
the question is digital transformation only for big companies?
No, it is not. Because again, that digital era enables any SMEs, small medium enterprises, to develop themselves and to integrate to the global economic system. Because as we mentioned, with some little contribution to your physical infrastructures, you can have very big impact. And if that was necessary, that digital transformation was necessary only for the big companies, we will not be talking about here about Google and about Amazon. So every size company should need that digital transformation and can plan their digital transformation either with their domestic sources, or they can make technology transfer from outside.
Professor, I have one question. This is the last question from me.
Yes.
The last question is that do you think digital transformation creates more jobs or replace them?
Again, some classical traditional jobs are being done by automation systems nowadays. I think that digital transformation change the manner of working. For example, everybody's talking about AI capabilities or AI challenges. Yes, there is AI. AI is, of course, doing many things, but with the control of a human being. So again, nurture your interest, nurture your education. You should feed yourself, your skills day by day. But if you want to stay out of date, you cannot do anything, of course. But in my opinion, new jobs can be created, some jobs can be transformed, but
Yes.
those who do not follow technology, those who do not nourish their skills, their education, would stay behind. That's my opinion.
Yes. So good explanation. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Aytaç Hocam Bogdan has a question. What is one industry you would recommend us to keep an eye on? What is going to get the big in the future?
I cannot say this because I want to invest myself. Uh, okay, the industry you should keep an eye is the digital industry, especially the app platforms. Because the if you are using, of course, you are using mobile apps, day by day becoming more apps which try to sell you something, the AI apps, the musical apps, for example. These days, it's very common to see AI produced songs on YouTube, and they are making money from that apps. So you should keep an eye, especially on digital developments and digital platforms. You can catch a good idea by yourself, which can be a useful solution for a human problem. That's very important. Think of a human problem and think of a solution for that problem, which might enable you to find such a good idea, such a good project idea. And of course, there are many markets you can keep eye on, like financial markets, like coin markets, or of course, this is up to you, totally up to you. But this is a reality. There are many options, many opportunities. But first of all, you know yourself, you understand yourself. What are your interests? What can you do the best? Here, the first thing, nurturing, developing talent and interest. So there is another question, I think.
Yes, Vedat has a question. If business starts well, is it better to focus on marketing or finance, or is it better to pay people who already know?
Okay, first of all, as the owner of the idea, owner of the project idea, you should have the business plan. And business plan includes some marketing and financial insights at least. at least you should know what can be done in terms of marketing or financial management. If you have enough resources, of course, you can deploy people who will do that for you. Professionals from marketing area or professionals from financial management area. But again, you will be on the top because this is your business plan. This is your project. And again, it depends on your financial resources. If you can hire people, of course you can do it. But I am sure in 1994, the founder of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, didn't deploy anyone for marketing or financial management. But in time, of course, now thousands of people are working for him, of course. Okay, another one from Arslan.
Yes, Arslan asks, how much practical value does a business plan really have in the early stage of a startup, given that most of its assumptions do not survive first contact with the market?
I'm trying to understand the question.
But when I look at the Arslan's picture, I see an entrepreneur.
So he is a little pushing us, pushing us hard. So
I can explain a little bit if needed.
Okay, if you can, I will be happy because this is a very generic question, and I couldn't know.
Sure. So I wanted just to ask how much practical value does a business plan really have if what we kind of like plan in that if what we write in that business plan does not really survive first contact with the market, or like the first or we get the feedback that is totally opposite from the business plan or from what we imagined. So
okay, I would like to answer this question from the point of view that is focusing on your project idea. For example, I gave the example of Google. Google was a genius idea to start a search engine, but again, in the beginning, they didn't have a very good business plan compared to their position in the market today. But they didn't stop doing this job, and they always focused on the new possible business plans. So you don't have to finish everything, but if you trust on your idea, you can just start something, but making the risk management, also financial risk management, and I am sure a good project idea will bring its business plan with itself, like Google Ads. From my perspective of view, Google Ads is a perfect, genius idea.
Yeah.
Companies are paying the money to the Google Ads at advance. They are not used. If no one clicked on the ad, it's all remains there, but it's in Google's account. It's in Google's bank account. But in the beginning of the Google, that business plan was not available. So my answer for your question is, your project idea, if you trust on it, you can keep some elements of your projects to go on, and also you can try to develop a good business plan alongside with your implementation on the area, on the field. I could answer your question.
Thank you.
My pleasure. So from Zenan.
This might be an unusual question, but do you think that this AI bubble could collapse in the future? I ask this since I think that we are trying to include AI in too many things where we don't need it, and things maybe even work worse than before AI.
Yeah. So in terms of AI, of course, there are lots of debates. People are making discussions about this. First of all, what we heard, maybe it was 1 year or 1.5 years before, the AI was very clever in the beginning, but since it's a learning algorithm, and because of some, how to say, lower quality questions or lower quality expectations from AI became less clever. So that was an issue because we are teaching the AI. People are teaching AI. So the future of AI, if that will not be with a solution, of course it's questionable. But my opinion is this on AI. AI is a tool. We are human beings who created AI. For example, if I have a calculator, I don't make my calculations by hand. If I have a typewriter, I don't write with my hand. If I have a computer for Excel, for example, a software in my computer, I don't make my tables by hand. So it is very normal to use AI as a tool, but of course as a tool, not a leading, not put it, the AI in a leading position. You should lead AI. It shouldn't lead you. You should ask for facilitating your hard jobs, but of course you shouldn't ask for an idea. Of course you shouldn't believe everything, or you shouldn't take everything given by AI as a whole package. So we are the controllers, and I don't think AI bubble will go away. I am sure it will evolve, and I am sure it will be part of our lives, because now we are using it on our mobile phones, on our computers, on our televisions maybe. It's going to remain, but we will see, and we don't have to wait too long. Maybe 1 year after, if we make this course again, we will be speaking something very different. Okay, then, and I'm not sure if this is enough for your question. Any others?
Like the calculators are, said Delina.
You mean you like the example, or you like calculators?
Zena wrote, I do agree that it will depend a lot on how we continue to develop it and teach it. Thank you for your answer, he said.
And Delina clarified her view as an example. Thank you, Delina. I like to use this as an example. This is my example, which is not very genius thing, which cannot be a business idea. But yes, AI is a calculator type tool for me. Okay, guys, thank you very much. Oh, yes. Thank you very much for your attention, and I am happy to meet you here again. These are my contact information, which you can access anytime.